All right, everybody, what's going on? It's Thundershot, and we are back with another WWE pay-per-view review. Tonight, we're looking at Night of Champions, but I am not alone today. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Laughing Stock Media. How's it going?
In case you guys have never heard of Mike from Laughing Stock Media, he's another anime tuber. He also does wrestling, and he's kind of, I like to talk wrestling with other people sometimes, and this is I've had him in on videos before about wrestling and whatnot. But tonight we're looking at Night of Champions. Basically what we do with this is we kind of give you maybe a short overview of the match, if that, and then just really give our feelings on the particular matches, and then we'll recap at the end on how the night went overall. But Mike, do you actually want to kick us off with the first match of the night?
Yeah, so the first match to start everything off was Ryback versus Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental Championship. And of course, this was an interesting matchup to start off with because, I mean, Ryback has been the champion for a little while now. I mean, he was mostly just facing people like The Miz and Big Show, who I just could not care any less about at this point in time. So actually giving Owens, who's coming off so many losses at this point, an actual fight for the belt is something that I was really looking forward to, and it kind of paid off in the favor of what I was looking forward to.
All right, and like on my end of it, I am particularly happy for in case you guys haven't seen Night of Champions, we're recapping everything here. Ryback and Owens, I think they had a pretty decent match overall. I actually liked the finish, and Kevin Owens ended up winning the Intercontinental title from Ryback, which is something I can't say I expected necessarily. It feels like Ryback's Intercontinental title reign has been kind of meh overall. There's not really been any build to almost anything for the most part. His matches, I don't know. His matches are flatlining for me, bottom line. But I kind of expected there to be some kind of build-up that took the stakes a little bit higher if he was going to lose the title. But it kind of came out of nowhere for me. I didn't know what they were going to do with Owens, and Owens ended up getting the win. Now, I got asked a question the other night, and I didn't know how to respond to it. But it said, if you were the WWE team right now, how do you book Kevin Owens? And in my mind, I just said he doesn't lose to John Cena in the 2 out of 3. Like that.
Well,
that right. Go. Wait. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, yeah, obviously. I mean, he wins that war, and that's how he stays supremely over. You know, I mean, I feel like he should have won this and the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship, and just became this dominant badass in the mid card. I mean, they don't have to force him into the main event, even though I feel like he could definitely go up there, especially in the ring. But when it comes down to it, I mean, I definitely would have booked him really strong, especially after he beat Cena. He just seemed on fire. So, I mean, what they did really just pissed me off.
Yeah, it's tough because you don't want to bring every new guy in that you bring up and make him the strongest thing and just put him over guys who've been working at it, who've been doing it for a while. For like Cesaro, for example, or maybe Ziggler is just another guy that they've been kind of like they've been working at it. You don't want to necessarily bring Kevin Owens in and make them higher than them. But yeah, Kevin Owens came in and he beat Cena in his first match. He was huge. People were loving him, even though he was the heel. And then he came in and he lost to Cena in the second match. Well, whatever. They had a best 2 out of 3. And sure enough, Cena pins him then. Cena beats him twice in a row. It totally knocks Kevin Owens' status down. He has to lose the NXT title because they're migrating him to Raw. They're moving him up to Raw. So he loses the NXT title to Finn Balor, loses the rematch to the NXT title because obviously he can't win it back again. And he's coming off, and he's really low at this point. From someone who had so much potential coming in, he's really low. But I think getting him the Intercontinental title will be well on the way to making Kevin Owens what we hope Kevin Owens can be. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Ryback now, see if he takes a break, see what he does. I'm back and forth with Ryback, honestly, on how I feel. Sometimes I would just go away, and then other times I'm like, maybe this dude can be that big muscly guy who hangs I feel like every roster needs at least a couple huge muscly dudes that are just like the meatheads or whatever. But we'll have to see how it plans out. But hopefully Owens has a pretty decent Intercontinental title reign, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do with that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to see Kevin Owens really just become something more prominent again on the card. I mean, it seems like every time you fight Cena, you might win one battle, but you always lose the war, and then as a result, you kind of go down the card. But as a result of that, it really, I really would like to see someone who's an Intercontinental Champion actually used properly at this point in time. It just seems like the Intercontinental Championship is almost always kind of a death knell for someone. Like, they just shove them there and just here's a belt, nobody cares. But I'd like to see Owens actually get something really interesting out of this.
Again, make the Intercontinental title important again. This is the kind of thing I really enjoyed when Daniel Bryan got his hands on it, because it made the title important. It made it something, and if Kevin Owens could be some kind of dominant force, and I don't know, it's rough because they're heels, but then again, you want them to look strong, you want to make the title good. I don't know. I'm just going to move on to the next match, but let us know what you think about that one in the comment section down below. The next match on the list is going to be Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev. This has been the whole drama. Lana, Summer Rae, back and forth. Ziggler's railing them both apparently, but one of them kind of likes Rusev. One of them's Rusev's ex. It's been a mess. And personally, it's just at the beginning it was something, but it got drawn out so much. I'm not a fan anymore. And then at the end, Lana ended up breaking her hand, and she can't even be a part of it for this match. Ziggler went ahead.
I did think it was ironic. I did think it was ironic that she kind of broke her wrist.
Yeah, go figure. Ziggler gets the win on this matchup, but what do you think of this situation overall? And the match, just how'd the match go?
I just did not care. I just want this whole feud to go away. Their matches are, all right at best usually. It's just that I just don't care. They almost always end up in either an interference costing someone, especially Rusev, the win, or they end up being just focused on the women outside the ring, and I just don't care. Like, the second they broke up Lana and Rusev, I was just like, they're just gonna ruin everything, and it just seemed like they were just doing it for no discernible reason. She came out and kissed Ziggler. Why? There was no build-up or anything, and then they're just together. Like, I just don't care about any of this stuff. This is like the worst feud, in my opinion, on the card right now, just because I want it to go away. I feel like it's hurting Rusev. It's not helping Ziggler, really, although, I mean, at this point, I kind of don't even know if Ziggler is salvageable. I still feel like he's great in the ring. He could really achieve things, but this isn't helping anyone, and the sooner it ends, in my opinion, the better.
Let's hope it's actually over, because to me, and like you guys remember if you watch my SummerSlam review video, I actually liked the ending that they did at SummerSlam where it was a double countout. I mainly liked that. It sucked because they had to drag the feud out longer, but I mainly like that because double countouts are just not something you see very often, especially where Ziggler looked like he was in a position to get back in the ring. I like that. I like Ziggler. I like watching Ziggler perform. I like watching Rusev perform, but to me this was just something that was dragged out too much. It reminded me a little bit of Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt in their feud, about how I liked both those guys. I like seeing them in the ring together, but after like the second, third, fourth pay-per-view, like I'm just done. Like, stop putting them together. Go let them do other things. And this was pretty much the same scenario to me, except with an extra element of just women constantly catfighting. It's like every time Lana would spear Summer, beat the crap out of her, they'd go to the back, and then Lana, it was the same shit on repeat. So I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. Ziggler gets the win, which is, I think how that should have gone. I'm totally cool with Ziggler getting the win. I think he needed one, because Rusev is still going to be a scary dude, especially with the way that the ending went off and all that stuff. Of course, there was going to be a shaky ending to this one. But yeah. I hope it's over. I hope it's over so bad. I hope
please.
It wouldn't bother me if the women never showed back up, or like if the women went and found other dudes or whatever, but I just let them go do other stuff, and we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I mean, let them go do other men,
You want to dive into the next match?
Yeah, so the next match coming up was a pretty interesting matchup, featuring two teams that I've always liked, and that is the Dudley Boyz versus the New Day for the Tag Team Championships. And really, I thought this match was decent. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I just really love the New Day. I think that they just put so much effort into what they do. Like, I feel like Xavier Woods just learned how to play the trombone just for this, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they just go out of their way. They have so much talent. They're so entertaining. And pairing them with these veterans and the Dudleys, I just feel like it's great for them. It creates a lot of entertainment. Of course, it's going to draw attention because, oh my God, the Dudley Boyz are back in the WWE after how many years? So I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, and let me say that the Dudleys coming back was probably the best thing to happen in the tag team division in like 5 years. Straight up. You have a point where Darren Young and Titus O'Neil were back. I don't know if Darren Young was out or gone for a while, but Darren Young and Titus O'Neil were back, and they were being strong. And I've always actually liked Darren Young and Titus O'Neil because Titus is huge. Darren's got the technicality or whatever a little bit. But I thought they made a great team. New Day was picking up. I hated New Day at first. I really did. But they've been growing on me more over time. Shout-outs to Xavier Woods trying to be Shadow the Hedgehog on Night of Champions. Like, what was that? He also reminded me of from the Peter Pan movie.
Rufio,
yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
It's the other vibe I was getting. But no, they're doing entertaining matches. They're crazy. The crowd gets into it. It's good. It's a good vibe. And then they go ahead and they have their match with the Dudley Boyz. Dudley Boyz, I mean, they do the whole match thing. Dudley Boyz looking good. New Day looking all right. I mean, they're going back and forth. Dudley Boyz hit a 3D. And then they go to make the pin. I think they hit the 3D on Kofi or Biggie or something like that. And then Xavier Woods comes in, boots Bubba in the back of the head, gets the DQ. So New Day, technically still the tag champs, even though the Dudley Boyz win. Biggie slaps Xavier Woods, says Woods, get the tables. And they bust out the tables like they're going to put the Dudley Boyz through them.
Yeah.
Tables get turned, no pun intended, and then they 3D Xavier Woods through the table. So it was fun. Dudley Boyz still look really strong. They don't have the titles yet. Hoping they get them back, though, for that 10th title reign. one thing I like about the Dudley Boyz that I want to point out specifically is that they bring back, like, I don't want to, this is probably not the right term. I want to say old school realism, sort of, to the point to where you see Bubba doing all these, Bubba in particular to me, but both of them, doing all these things that you don't see anymore. You know, after they hit the 3D and Devon goes for the pin, Bubba will get ready. He'll look around the ring to make sure nobody's going to come to break up the pin. You don't see people doing that much anymore. After the match was over and they put Woods through the table, Bubba's looking at Devon and he's telling him, you could see him. He was telling him, I was pinning the guy and then Xavier came in and hit me in the head and he's slapping his head. And there's all these things that just, a certain realism that a lot of people kind of go on autopilot for these days. It's something in particular that I like. But no, I think the tag division, I think the only thing that can make the tag division better right now with Titus and Aaron and the New Day and the Dudley Boyz back would be if the other Uso was healthy. Because when the Usos come back, I feel like the tag division has the potential to explode. Maybe they bring up another tag team from NXT. That could be, tag division is on the verge of being really good again.
I mean, the tag division is always something I've loved, and they were such a big thing during the Attitude Era, especially. Like, a lot of people want to say that everything was Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H and, Undertaker, stuff like that, but the tag division is really something that also drew a lot, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and of course the Dudley Boyz, so it was something that's, I love the tag division. I've always thought that tag matches can be really fun, and there could be so much competition and variety. But going back to those little things that you like, I definitely appreciate that stuff too. It just seems like it's so lost on people nowadays. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but the match with Sting, there's some little things that I just really love about veterans and people who've wrestled for so long. For example, like Sting and a lot of other older wrestlers rolling in to break up the count before going back out and continuing their fight. It really is a little thing that adds to the psychology and the people actually caring about the 10 counts and stuff like that really adds to the match for me and adds to the realism, as you said.
And it feels like it's something that's been lost a lot recently. But yeah, it's pretty much my thoughts on the tag titles in the tag division. That was actually probably one of the better highlights of the night, personally, now that I think about it. Going back and looking at it. I have Night of Champions fresh in my mind. I was streaming during Night of Champions, then I cut it. I turned off social media entirely, ran to the network, and then watched it, and then here I am. So it's all fresh. I'm getting to look back at it for the first time right now. All right, so now we're moving on to the Divas match of the night. We're looking at Nikki Bella versus Charlotte. I want to point out that for like the last 6 months, I have been telling everyone Nikki's going to hang on because they hate AJ and because Nikki's railing Cena probably. They're going to have Nikki hang on to the title until she gets the record for longest person to hold the longest Divas championship. Hold the championship the longest, if I could fucking talk. Yeah. And then they're going to drop it. Instantly, they're going to drop it. And what do they do the very first opportunity Nikki has to lose the title? She loses it. Now, the match overall for me was shitty. Not necessarily because it was a Divas match, but Nikki beat the crap out of Charlotte the whole match. Pretty much the entire match. Charlotte had almost no offense at all. Charlotte hits a spear out of nowhere, locks in the figure eight even though her knee hurts, and then wins the title. And that was the entire match. I want to finish my thought, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Yeah, as long as Nikki Bella and the Bellas in general have been on top of the Divas division, I do not care. I have not cared. And it's ironic I say on top considering that's how they got there in the first place, But it's just like, I just don't care. I can't stand them. I feel like they're just cancer for the division, the WWE in general. And it's just like, this match, garbage. I feel like every match that they're in is garbage, even though you have someone who's such a quality wrestler, something we don't get to see enough in WWE when it comes to females. We get to see a lot of it in NXT, but, Nikki Bella dominating? No, she has no reason whatsoever to dominate Charlotte, who's like covered in muscles and who actually knows how to wrestle. She should get her ass beat, and then it should have been like Sting versus Hulk Hogan should have been at at Stargate when he just should have annihilated Hulk Hogan instead of like the complete opposite happening in this match. But yeah, I mean, they didn't even try and cover up the fact that they were just trying to cover up AJ's thing. They just immediately have her lose the belt, and it's mostly just like, screw you fans, nobody really cares.
It's a way where like they knew we didn't like the Bellas. They knew we didn't like Nikki having the title anymore. They know we've been sick of this for months now, at least 3, 4, 5 months. We've been sick of this, but they were like, she's close enough. We'll just get it to her. Get rid of Get rid of AJ's
reign.
record, and then we'll let it take over. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you on the thing. I get that they're from NXT. I get that this is the Divas Revolution. They're bringing up a bunch of girls from NXT, and Nikki's been the Divas champion for however long. It's been a really long time since she's ever won a match completely clean on her own. But she's been the Divas champion. But why? I'm agreeing with you. Why is she beating the crap out of Charlotte? Charlotte is huge. Charlotte reeks of man. Just like straight up, she looks like she should be throwing Nikki around the ring the whole time. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Nikki gets an early advantage. I don't know. It's one thing that strikes me as odd is they're bringing up all these girls from the NXT Divas division, and they're calling it the Divas Revolution. And if that's the case, why do all the matches still suck? Like, yeah, because I've been watching Divas NXT, and those don't suck. We're looking at like the same girls who were having matches in NXT are now having matches in WWE, but they were good in NXT, and now they're bad. Like, I don't understand it. It's just there's some stuff I'm not connecting here.
It's very possible that it's actually the agents who were at work, and they're just using this old school, very formulaic formula to try and work out these Divas matches. And then, of course, a lot of the times these NXT Divas have to deal with these essentially anorexic supermodels who don't know how to wrestle, you know what I mean? So, I mean, they can't really show off to the immense degree, but even when they put them together, it's not like this amazing, offense and defense chain wrestling thing we get in NXT. It's more just this formulaic stuff, and I feel like it comes down to the bookers and the agents, essentially they just aren't letting them do what they want to do. And that's really a problem when they just become such an attraction down there, and then they come up and it's just like, yeah, you got to do this because this is what people like. It's like people obviously like them down there, or else you wouldn't have put them on the main show.
Part of me wants Bayley to stay in NXT for a while just because she's doing good there, and I don't want her to be ruined. But yeah, I want to point out I was a pretty big fan of AJ Lee. Oddly enough, I was an actual bigger fan of Paige. I think I still am. But after AJ left and the Bellas came in, that was just it was all downhill from there. I didn't hate the Bella Twins, right? For the longest time, I was like, you know what, whatever. But I was so tired of Nikki having the title. It's kind of like my thing with Cena when he was the WWE champion. I didn't necessarily hate Cena once he lost the title, but he just had it for too damn long. I don't know. Let us know what you think about the Divas division and how all that crap goes. That was a weird match. It wasn't good for anybody except we finally got the title off Nikki. So hopefully Charlotte can be good next time. All right, the next match. I'm looking for that a little bit. All right, so we had Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and their mystery partner versus the Wyatt family, the new Wyatt family, mind you, consisting of Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman. Yeah, that's right, China unretired to come back and play Braun Strowman. I'm sorry, I saw that as an internet meme, and I was laughing about that a lot.
That is pretty great.
But yeah, Braun Strowman, huge dude, but choking everyone out. So the mystery partner had a lot of potential. Before we actually say who it was, if you saw Night of Champions, you know who we're talking about. I wanted to talk with you about this because we had a brief conversation on Twitter. It was rumored, because apparently it was posted on the WWE website for about 4 seconds, that a Night of Champions photo that showed Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Baron Corbin from NXT, the huge Arizona offensive tackle or offensive lineman for the Arizona Cardinals, coming back, and he's been a big. Give me your lowdown on Baron Corbin. You can do better than me.
Honestly, when I've seen Baron Corbin in NXT, I've just been bored with him. Like, I know that there was a lot of hype around him. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of his size and where he came from, but he just seems incredibly generic. Like, he just screams generic to me. And it's just like, when I see him, I just think, okay, this guy is just like a more generic Test. Test had some really entertaining, angles with Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and stuff like that. But it's just like Baron Corbin, it's like, why would you put him, of all people, with the Shield? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I just feel like there's so many better options that they could have brought up if they were going to bring up anyone from NXT to begin with.
Yeah, so there were a lot of rumors about who to bring up from NXT. Now, I can kind of agree with you with Baron Corbin. Just seems like the generic big guy. Do we need a generic big guy right now? Maybe because Kane and the Big Show were getting older and getting out there. I don't know if a generic big guy would hurt. But for the sake of NXT has been doing everything they can to make Baron Corbin look scary. He did lose to Samoa Joe at the last NXT thing. But other than that, Baron Corbin has been one of their top guys. In fact, I think last I heard he was going for the NXT title even after losing to Samoa Joe, oddly enough. But
didn't he also have a feud with and lose to Rhino or something like that? I don't remember.
Maybe my NXT is a little fuzzy, so you guys will have to fill us in. But they've been making Baron Corbin look scary. He's huge. He's 6'8". He's huge. So yeah. I can agree with you that like other guys with more potential to be brought up to the WWE would have been good. But for the sake of this particular match, with how Braun Strowman was brought in, huge guy who needed to be like, how are you going to deal with a guy that big who can just throw people around like that? I think Baron Corbin would have been hype as fuck to bring in if his music would have hit, because he's 6'8". He could look Strowman in the eye. That's what was so scary about it. He could have looked Strowman eye to eye, and they could have had a fight. For the sake of this match, I think that would have been awesome. I think it also would have been cool to bring up Samoa Joe. It would have been throwing him in a little early, but I think it would have been cool because it's not like he doesn't have the experience.
I just hope they do something with Joe at this point, because it's just like he came in with so much hype. He immediately drew. He was selling all this merchandise, and what's he doing right now? You know what I mean?
Right. They don't want to let him sit because then he'll get cold. He'll get stale. But do you want to go ahead and reveal who did the mystery partner actually end up being?
Well, the mystery partner ended up being, drumroll, Y2J Chris Jericho. And honestly, when he came out, I was just like, oh, well, Jericho's taking the pin, because I like Jericho. I've always liked Jericho. He was always someone I was, a big fan of. It's just like, at this point in time, though, it's like, we know that Chris Jericho only comes back to lose. I just feel like he's lost so much time, so many times when he comes back. It just kind of lacks impact, and it's really cool to see him come back. I wish that he would come back in a bigger way, but obviously he's with his band and stuff. But I mean, it was definitely a really interesting twist and something I didn't expect at all. So I mean, it was definitely good on that front.
It's something I didn't expect, but it's 100% something I should have expected, because as soon as they announced that they were going to have a mystery partner, immediately ran through my mind who was someone who's been gone who needs to come back now. And for some reason, Jericho didn't cross it. The main thing that was hitting me was Sting, but I'm like, they're not going to put Sting in this match, and Sting's already with Rollins. So I don't know. Jericho was what I was trying to think of, but I just couldn't get a handle on it. And then I got really excited for Baron Corbin. I was excited for pretty much anybody for them to bring up from NXT. That was a good chance. There was a good opportunity for them to bring somebody up then, but they chose not to. When Jericho's music hit, I was excited about it, but at the same time, I was like, can Jericho deal with Braun Strowman? Because like you said, every time he comes back and he loses. I wasn't as on the ball as you, knowing he would take the pin right away. That kind of caught me as a surprise near the end, but they threw in a weird twist in the match. So the match is going on. It's going back and forth. It's pretty much Dean and Roman doing pretty good, beating up the Wyatt family, minus Braun Strowman. Jericho coming and doing his thing a little bit, and then all of a sudden Braun Strowman's in the ring. He's fighting with Reigns. This is like the heat of the moment. Match is building up. Reigns hits him with a Superman punch. He doesn't fall over. Reigns hits him with another Superman punch. He doesn't fall over. Dean Ambrose jumps off the top rope, does that cool elbow to somebody standing up thing that he does. Braun Strowman falls over. He hits the ground. Dean Ambrose dives out of the ring, lands on Luke Harper, something like that. Reigns hits a spear on Braun Strowman. Well, that's obviously not enough to take Braun Strowman down. So Reigns, who's kind of hurt, rolls back over into his corner, gets up, gets ready to spear Strowman again. Jericho tags himself in when Reigns is about ready, hits the lion salt. Strowman kicks out, beats the shit out of Jericho. Match is over, pretty much. And it was kind of weird that happened. Yeah. Number one, Jericho tagged himself in, and then number two, when the match was over, it kind of looked like Reigns had that like forgive and forget thing. He was nodding his head at Jericho, like, you know what, we lost, but we did good. Ambrose was doing the same thing, like, you know what, we're all right. And then Jericho kind of like little douchebag shoulder bumps Dean and Reigns on his way out, and he kind of like Priss walks his way out with his head held up in the air, nose in the air kind of thing. And it's going to be weird to see what they do with that, because like you said, we know Jericho's not back forever, and you know whoever he faces, he's going to lose to, but when you're trying to make people like Reigns right now, because that still looks like their main goal, putting him against somebody who will probably make him look bad when they have to talk to each other might not be the way to go about it. I don't know. How do you feel about this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have no idea. Like, when he left, I was just kind of like, well, Jericho's gone again. He's probably going to go on tour again or something. But, I mean, it is very possible that they could put him against... I mean, Jericho garners so much heel heat, so it is very possible that they could put him against Reigns to try and put him over. I mean, Jericho always had that, that Nick Bockwinkel wearing that suit, talking down to people kind of thing going that he was very great at. And that definitely could help elevate Reigns in a lot of ways. I almost feel like, though, the way that it ended is that they might kind of try and do a kind of recurring thing where Ambrose and Reigns keep bringing in another mystery partner, try and take them on to eventually try and counter Braun Strowman and, the Wyatt family. And I think that would be really entertaining, too. I mean, like, instead of Jericho, I kind of thought, just like a crazy thought in my mind, I was like, Goldberg has been wanting to come back for a little while.
Oh my God.
Maybe they'll just have Goldberg come out and just spear him and jackhammer him. But I mean, that's just another crazy thought in my mind. But I mean, I would love that.
The place would explode. That would be nuts. Yeah, there's a lot of different directions this can go. I'm kind of leaning, the more I think about it, I'm kind of leaning with you. How Jericho leaving isn't necessarily Jericho starting a feud with anybody. That's just Jericho. They'll make him go off and do his own thing now, right? Because they didn't
Yeah.
come in to make him be an asshole, to make him just leave right away. But he'll maybe start being a dick to somebody else. And he'll start a feud with them, which I am entirely looking forward to. I think it'll be cool.
Yep.
But I like the idea of Reigns and Ambrose keep having to look for partners in some way to finally beat Braun Strowman. I don't want to see it go on too long. Because for the sake of it not getting drawn out again, because that's been a common theme lately in WWE, is just rivalries getting drawn out way too long. I think what this is all building to, just from this match, hopefully, with any luck, you know me, I'm totally 100% on Reigns' dick. That's who I am, okay?
Yep.
I'm hoping this is building to a Reigns-Strowman one-on-one match. Where, like I said, hopefully Reigns wins for me. But that's maybe what they're going to here, and just another way to make Reigns look hella strong. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with this one. Like I said, I'm all about, pretty much, I'm always focused on the titles, what's going on with that, and then what's Roman Reigns doing. That's my WWE agenda anytime I watch any of their stuff.
Yeah, I just hope that if they're going to do that and they're going to try and build up Roman Reigns, by taking this dude out. I mean, this dude's already looking badass and everything, the Strowman dude, but I mean, they need to give him some more serious dominating wins first, just so it can look even better in the end. You want Roman Reigns not to come out looking like $1,000,000. Lots of people do that and they still fail. You want him to come out looking like $1,000,000,000. So
yeah, and that's the thing that I hated. The very first night Strowman showed up and he choked out Reigns and Ambrose and whoever came his way, and he just choked him out, threw him aside like they were nothing. That's the thing I hated, is because I immediately knew when Strowman showed up, somebody has to look bad taking this loss. Somebody's gonna look not good. And I think they got away with Night of Champions. Okay, then again, Jericho had to take the pin, which did suck. But somebody between Reigns and Strowman, one of those guys is gonna have to look not stronger than the other. And if it's Reigns, I'm gonna be pissed. But if it's Strowman, you're throwing away a lot of built-up potential that you just brought in. But yeah. Do you want to move on to what I would call the first half of the last match of the night, kind of?
Yeah, I was just, when this match first started, when they showed the vignettes, of the United States Championship, I was just happy that Cena wasn't going on last, to be honest. Like, I almost thought they were going to shove Cena in the end, because essentially it's going to be, Rollins in both cases with being the World Heavyweight Championship, but I thought... This match is obviously Rollins versus Cena for the United States Championship, and I kind of felt like in my head I had two scenarios. One, Cena loses this match to Rollins, somehow with Rollins cheating, and Rollins drops the belt to Sting. Or Cena wins this match and Sting loses. And unfortunately, we'll get into that a little bit later on after this, but I was right about one of those scenarios, and I just wasn't happy with Rollins just taking the clean pin to Cena. I just wasn't happy with the way it just ended up going.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. Here's the thing. They got praised a lot at the last was the last pay-per-view? It was SummerSlam, wasn't it?
Battleground, I think it was.
What, Battleground? I don't think I did a review on Battleground. I feel like, okay. Yeah. No, I think you're right. Anyway, at the last pay-per-view when Cena and Rollins went at it, they had a really good match, and everybody liked it. I mean, Rollins did end up coming out on top, which is fine. I mean, love-hate Cena, love-hate Rollins, whatever, which is, I personally am glad Rollins won, but they had a really good match their last time around, and everybody liked it. But the thing is that this match, they pretty much did the exact same thing. It wasn't identical, but the moves were in a different order, pretty much. And other than that, that was it. But it was all the exact same stuff. Once the match got rolling, once it got into the intense part and everything broke out, it was almost the same thing, in almost the same order, even, to go that far. It's like, it was a good match, but I didn't want to see it again. I mean, I was hoping for something a little bit different. The only thing different this time is that Cena clean AA pinned Rollins. Nothing to it.
Ugh.
Rollins is out. And then, that was pretty much it. I didn't like that it was the exact same match twice. I really didn't like that Cena won and took the title back from Rollins. I feel like there was more interesting things they could have done there. But...
I didn't even like, to be honest, that Cena and Rollins ever fought for the belt in the first place. I just didn't like that Cena and Rollins were having this feud, because it really annoyed me, because Rollins is the champion right now, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And Cena comes in at SummerSlam and he's fighting for, him for the belt. And that really just annoyed me, because when you think about it, first off, I didn't want Lesnar and Undertaker to fight again. I thought that feud was already over, that Lesnar, had the definitive, nail in the coffin, so to speak. But I just didn't think that Cena, after spending all this time trying to build up people in the mid card, should have fought for that championship. And it kind of just seemed like he destroyed the mid card, came in, and was going to take this belt too. And I was just like, no, do not do this. And I just haven't liked this feud at all thus far.
Yeah, and here's my thing. Overall, I don't mind the U.S. title on Cena. Looking at it, when he was doing the Open Challenge, we get to see him show off guys like Ambrose and Ziggler and whatever. I don't mind that. But in this particular scenario, with the way Cena took it off and then what happened afterwards, that was more of my issue. So as we said, Cena wins the title from Rollins. He gets his U.S. title back. Rollins still has to defend his World Heavyweight title. Some stuff happened on the outside of the ring after the match. Cena AAs Rollins on the floor and then rolls him into the ring. And then as Cena is leaving, Sting's music hits because Sting's match is up next. Sting comes out to the ring. Rollins is barely able to stand back up. And then Rollins and Sting start their match. And they wrestle around for about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. Sting throws Rollins outside the ring. Sting jumps off the top rope. This dude's like 60.
Yeah.
This dude is like 60. Jumps off the top rope to the outside of the ring to land on Rollins. Rolls Rollins back into the ring. Starts doing his 10 punches in the corner. Crowd gets like 5-6. Rollins picks up Sting for that corner powerbomb thing he does. Throws him into the corner. Shortly afterwards, in the middle of running the ring rope, Sting collapses in the middle of the ring. Falls over. Not moving anymore. They back Rollins up. They got to bring in the doctor, make sure Sting's okay. They come out of that. Some stuff happens in between, but they come out of that, and basically what happens is Rollins immediately goes for the pedigree. Sting locks in the Scorpion Deathlock really poorly. Rollins, I don't know if, to me it looked like he wasn't sitting down on it and really pinching it in because he was injured, and he didn't know if he could sit down with it. That's what it looked like to me from the perspective I was at, but I don't know. Rollins grabs the ropes. Pretty much same thing happens. Rollins goes for a pedigree again. Sting tries to put him in the deathlock. Rollins does some crazy shit. It was a really cool looking pin. Rolls him up into a pin. 1, 2, 3. Clean pin on Sting from Rollins. I don't need to tell you guys this, but what just happened was John Cena cleanly beat Seth Rollins, who, while tired, cleanly beat Sting. Okay? Which means you know what I mean? That means essentially what the WWE just told us is that Cena is not only better than Sting, but like significantly better than Sting. To beat a fresh Rollins who tired was able to beat Sting. That's awful. That's horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just hated that so much. I was pissed because, again, I predicted this would happen. I just thought, if Cena wins, I know that they're going to try and keep the belt on Rollins somehow, you know? I just know that they're going to try and just screw them over because Cena, they have to always make Cena look strong, and they just made Sting look so weak. And I hated when Sting lost to Triple H at WrestleMania. I hated that because I thought there was no purpose to it, and again, there has served no purpose of him winning at this point, you know?
He's 0-2 in the WWE.
Yeah, and, like, now he loses to who's essentially Triple H's bitch. Like, Triple H has made Rollins look weak in every single encounter they've been in. And honestly, I just feel like Triple H is going to eventually beat Rollins for the championship anyway. I feel like it's going to be a Randy Orton Evolution thing all over again. And I just cannot believe that they had Rollins, who he lost clean to Cena, got AA'd on the outside, and then he still beat Sting. Like, that's just, like, mind-boggling. Like, I almost had an aneurysm watching that. I was so pissed off.
This is the worst-case scenario of the way that the night could have gone for a number of reasons. Aside from Cena beating Rollins, retaining the title, and then Cena indirectly looking a lot better than Sting. Sting's possibly injured. Rollins hangs on to the WWE title, which I like Rollins, but for me, I would have been 100% okay with him losing both matches. Find a way to get it back or whatever. But what this also means is now Rollins has the title. Sting's probably hurt and or might not retaliate after Night of Champions. He might go into hiding like he did after WrestleMania. And if that's the case, guess who's going to be knocking on Rollins' door because he just beat the champion? We're going to have to see John fucking Cena against Rollins for the title, for the World Heavyweight Championship again, unless some kind of miracle happens to where we don't have to witness this. I've seen Cena Rollins enough times. I've seen Cena fight for that damn belt too many times. Like, stop. Like, that's it. Like, I don't know.
Well, then again, there's someone else who's even bigger and even more irritating who's knocking on Rollins' door for that championship, and his name is, it's gotta be Kane. And
two people, technically. Do you want to go and explain what happens after the Rollins-Sting match?
Oh, yeah. Well, essentially what happened was after this match happened, Sheamus ran down, and Sheamus just belted Rollins in the face with the brogue kick, and he just wanted that belt so bad. He had the Money in the Bank. Rollins had 2 matches. He said it all night. I'm going to come in. I'm going to take that belt from you if you somehow manage to win. And he was cashing that in when suddenly the fire, the pyro came out, and Kane emerged. The dude actually had the mask on this time. He seemed to go back to that mask persona, and he choke slams Rollins, and, Sheamus is yelling at him, do it again, and unfortunately, Kane felt the need to also choke slam Sheamus, and they couldn't salvage that ending, no matter how hard they tried.
He then he tombstones Rollins, then he leaves. Sheamus doesn't get a cash in his Money in the Bank because he's been choke slammed, and he didn't get, luckily he still gets to hang on to the Money in the Bank because he didn't have it cashed in and the bell didn't ring before Kane came out. But it is so ridiculous. This is another worst case scenario. Kane, unless they really do it this time, and they never do, his Demon Kane is not scary anymore. They brought him from corporate to Demon like 5 times now, and every time what do? They come in, they make him look badass for like a week, and then he's used to push off someone new. Then he's used to up somebody else. Then he goes back to being corporate Kane. They've done this multiple times. If he really didn't want Rollins, if he really didn't like Rollins and wanted revenge, he would have choke slammed him and left the ring. But Sheamus had already come out and hit a bro kick on him. First of all, shout outs to Rollins for taking 2 AAs, a Stinger death drop, being locked into the Scorpion deathlock once, taking a bro kick, a choke slam, and then a tombstone all in one night. But yeah, if Kane really wanted, he would have come out, he would have hit his moves, and he would have left. I don't think Kane needed to come out. I know it was predictable and people saw it coming. I wouldn't have mind Sheamus hitting the bro kick and taking the title off Rollins there too.
Honestly, ever since their original, falling out and problems with the Authority, I kind of thought that they were going to have a match. I hope that WWE wasn't stupid enough to think that Kane should headline in 2015 against Seth Rollins for the championship, but it seems like they are.
I didn't even think about that.
I just don't want that happening, and I know it's going to now, but I just feel like it's either going to be Kane, Cena, and then I feel like eventually Triple H is just going to beat him. I keep saying that. I've been calling it for like a year now. I just think it's going to happen.
Well, Kane's not going to get the title from Rollins, 100%. If they were going to put it on an old legend before he retired, Sting would have won the night. Like that's exactly how that works. They're not going to put the title on Kane after all that. This is going to be another month or 2 of us getting held over, waiting. Like we know Rollins isn't going to drop the title or anything, and we're just going to be waiting for stuff to happen in the WWE again. And that is also another reoccurring theme. Is it feels like we are just waiting for the good shit to finally get here. They've had good matches. There's been good things in the past. I, for one, was a big fan. I know you said it should have been over, but I was a big fan of Lesnar Taker. I thought that match was good. I don't know. But SummerSlam...
Oh, that match was really good, definitely.
SummerSlam as a pay-per-view was good to me, and it felt like they just took a step backwards with this. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing, too, is that... honestly, I feel like anyone beating Rollins for the championship other than either Lesnar or Reigns is going to ruin the story. Because the whole big story coming out of last WrestleMania was essentially Rollins stole the championship from either the rightful champion, who was Lesnar, or the man who was going to take that belt from Lesnar and Roman Reigns. So anyone beating Rollins, in my opinion, for that belt, and I haven't liked the fact that Cena's beaten him, I haven't liked the fact that a lot of people have beaten him, anyone who's essentially beaten him has kind of undermined that. And I feel like anyone who takes that title from him will just ruin the entire story. So I really don't want anyone other than Lesnar or Reigns to win that belt. And I just feel like eventually they might just do that anyway.
Not to mention Sheamus is a huge wild card in this too, with having the Money in the Bank contract. It was so weird to put that on him. I would like the idea of a triple threat match, triple threat WrestleMania, of the match that it should have been from the beginning, of just Rollins, Lesnar, and Reigns all in one match, all in one go. But then again, does the WWE have the balls to make Reigns win the Rumble again?
I don't know.
That would be so.
I feel like there's ways he can get his way into the championship. I feel like what they should really do is they should have Reigns win the Money in the Bank from Sheamus. Like, I don't know why they didn't just give... Well, again, because they had to have the cock blocker Bray Wyatt come in and ruin that all. But, I think that Reigns should be the Money in the Bank. I feel like that he should just say, I'm going to cash in the belt at the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania and try and go for that belt. But, It really depends on how WWE executes Roman Reigns, kind of push and stuff in the future. They really have to handle it well this time, unlike, how they did it last time. There's ways they could still do it right. I just hope that they just don't screw this up and make him another Luger, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's hope not. All right, I think to give my final thoughts on the whole scenario, Night of Champions, coming off SummerSlam, which, like I said, I really like most of SummerSlam. I really like how that went. Night of Champions, I was hoping would be the step forward that we needed, when in reality, a lot of places either stayed stalemate, or we get to see into the future about how we're going to be stuck for a couple months, and that's not something I'm a fan of, but hopefully the future pay-per-views will do us a little better. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much echo yours. I liked the actual pay-per-view of SummerSlam. I thought a lot of this was fun. It's just that WWE recently just does not seem to know how to actually end things properly, especially their pay-per-views. So I really hope in the future they really try hard. Hell in the Cell is looking like it's going to be great, since we're going to actually have a Hell in the Cell match with Lesnar and Taker again. It seems like Hell in the Cell might be something that they're going to try and finish a lot of feuds at, and really have a lot of payoffs and blow-offs. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm hoping WWE will really put this in a way that'll fix everything and just give us all great, excellent payoffs in the end.
Is Hell in the Cell the next pay-per-view?
I believe so, yes.
All right, thank God. I could use a little Hell in the Cell in my life, something to get me out of this funk that we're in right now. But I think that's going to go ahead and do it and wrap it up for us here today. If you guys haven't checked him out already, Mike Laughingstock Media's channel will be in the description down below. Be sure to subscribe to him, because, like I said, not only does he talk wrestling with the guys every now and again, he also he does anime videos of all kinds, Dragon Ball Z. I mean, just other animes that he's into and whatnot. So be sure to check him out in the link in the description down below. Other than that, I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us. Thank you guys for coming out. I'm Thundershot. I've been here with Mike.
And stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Peace, guys.